Recently, Windows updates have been going very wrong and causing a lot of grief and heartache. So, I have this Dell G5 15 gaming laptop. This laptop is currently running Windows 10, and I'm going to upgrade it to Linux today. After some consideration, I've used a lot of Linux versions in the past, but I think I'm going to go with Kbuntu for now, and I want to use a Debian-based distribution because those are the ones that I'm most familiar with. This laptop has a Core i7-8750H and a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti. This is the gaming laptop I use when I'm on the go, so let's go ahead and get the system restarted and get Linux installed. Alright, with the computer rebooted, we're going to hit F2 because I need to go into the computer BIOS. Alright, so in the computer BIOS, it is set to UEFI boot, but on secure boot, for secure boot enable, you need to make sure secure boot is off. Linux doesn't have the signed keys that work with secure boots. And when I go to secure boot mode, I was having some troubles getting Linux to install on this machine. It kept malfunctioning, so when I get into the setup, you're going to see some Linux partitions. It's because I was trying to get Linux installed and it wouldn't work and it wouldn't work. And suggestion was to put secure boot mode into audit mode, and that seems to be allowing me to boot, but I had other issues, so I am going to go ahead and reinstall Linux to convert this laptop to Linux start to finish, so you can see every single step. The only thing I can't redo is in the boot sequence, there used to be a Windows Boot Manager, and the Windows Boot Manager has been deleted in the various times that I tried to get things to work and boot correctly. So, secure boot is off, and we are in audit mode. Those two things should be enough to get me to boot. The only other thing that I changed in the hardware, I can't remember where the setting is, but if I look through this, let's go to System Configuration, SATA Operation. That's it. I changed from RAID on to AHCI. I'm not going to be using RAID in my laptop, so I don't need RAID on, or I'm also not using the Intel Rapid Restore technology. So with those options set, I'm going to hit exit, and then I'm going to use, on this laptop, the key is F12, so give it just a second. I'm going to go ahead and boot into the installer. That's interesting. It's not giving me the USB drive that I expected to be here. I wonder if it's this general U disk. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter on that, and we'll see if we boot. I thought the USB stick that I used was called something different, so we'll go ahead and see. But the 256 gig partition 1, that is my solid state drive that's in this laptop. We'll start Kbuntu. The problem that I kept having with Kbuntu is that it would not detect my NVMe drive. And while I use Linux a lot, I'm still fairly new to some of the ins and outs, and something like a missing NVMe drive, I don't know how to fix that. So let's see what happens in the setup here. I like Debian-based distributions. I honestly don't think that it matters which distribution base you use, whether it's Debian or Red Hat or Arch, etc. I think it's important that you find a base that you like and a distribution that you like, and then you can customize it on top of that, because no distribution is going to meet all of your needs. And I really like KDE. It was one of the first desktop environments I ever used in Linux. With KDE, I just like some of its features over GNOME 3, which is why I tried out Linux Mint, Cinnamon. I think they're the caretakers of Cinnamon. I really like Cinnamon. It's very similar to GNOME 2, and in my Linux experience, I've used a lot of KDE and GNOME. So let me go ahead and we're going to install Kbuntu. I am in US English for my keyboard and my location. We're going to do a normal installation. Let's go ahead and let it install updates. All right. Now, some Linux users don't like to install third-party software, but I do have an NVIDIA card, and one of the things I want to do with this laptop is experiment with Proton, the official build, and Glorious Egg version that I've been hearing about. A developer has made some additional Proton builds that seem to work pretty well with some software. So I'm going to go ahead and install third-party software to try and get the NVIDIA drivers and then some of those proprietary media formats. I will be speeding up the installation steps to make this process not seem nearly as long on the video as it does take in real life. All right, I'm going to do guided and use LVM, and I'm going to use the entire disk. And this time it is detecting my NVMe drive. So I don't know if that was just a fluke the last time I tried this or what. But again, I have deleted all of the Windows partitions and the Dell recovery partitions, so maybe there was a partition incompatibility that didn't give me this option. So I'm going to go ahead and hit install now. And I'm going to let this go ahead and install. We are going to write the partition changes to disk, and it looks like it's going to default to X4 file system, and it's going to create a swap, which is perfectly fine. You need a swap in Linux. So I'm going to say I'm closer to Denver. Let's hit continue. So my name is Richard. We're going to leave my username as Richard. Set my password. And this is a Dell G5 model 5587. It's a 15-inch gaming laptop, but I'm going to call this computer Reliant after the USS Reliant in Star Trek, because my primary computer is named Enterprise, and then I also have a media server named Voyager. So we'll let this one be Reliant, and then I'm going to hit continue. And now we're 60% copying files there, so we're just going to let this file copy continue. Moment of truth. I'm going to go ahead and hit restart now, and once I do that, I will go ahead and wait a couple minutes for the restart to finish, and then I'll pull the USB stick so that I don't accidentally boot back into the Kbuntu install. I'm going to switch here to the console so I can see what's going on. We're going to remove the installation media and press enter. All right, so we're going to ask it to go ahead and start Ubuntu. I don't know if seeing the Dell logo there was a UEFI thing or if it was something else, but it looks like we have successfully booted into Ubuntu. So with that being the case, I'm going to go ahead and start my screen recording because my screens are now showing up in my capture device. All right, let me go ahead and log in here. Oop. Okay, it was typing, it just didn't think. All right, right now I want the outputs to be unified. That way my capture card and my laptop are showing the same thing. Okay. All right. I am now moved over. So you saw the updates pop up down here in the bottom. The first time I update, I don't typically use this feature, but let's go ahead and see how good its update process does. Let's see here, AMD microcode. Just going to take a quick look through here and see what we're updating. Let me quickly open a terminal window. Alright, so now that we're in console, I'm going to do uname -r, right? Oh, I typed it wrong. Okay. So let me come back into my console here. Uname. There we go. Sorry about that. But I wanted to see what kernel I was running. 5.3 is fairly recent. What I was running Linux Mint on a different computer here that I have it running on. It installed with kernel 5.0, and then through an update process it went to 5.3, 46 generic, just like we're running here. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and update all. Oops. And again, while this thing updates, we're going to let it go ahead and speed up. While we're waiting for the updates, I want to look and see if there's any other kernel versions installed. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Debian Package Manager. I'm going to use the list option, sorry. We're going to run that through grep so that I can find anything that says Linux-image. And it looks like kernel 5.3.18 and 5.3.46 are both installed. Thank you for watching me convert my Windows laptop into a Linux laptop. And in the next few videos, we're going to start installing some applications, some software, and we're going to try and get Proton working with some Windows games just to see how gaming on my Linux laptop will perform. So thank you very much again, and I will see you in the next video.